What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Happy weekend. Just want to make a little video real quick discussing the week. It was a good week. It was busy considering the stock's tanking. Well, it's not tanking, but it's going down. Wall Street always needs more and more and more, and like everything, eventually the squeeze is out, right? They milked that cow for as long as they could. Now Wall Street ain't happy, and the news broke they're laying off 12,000 people, and then everybody started going with the Teamsters got what they deserved, got all this money and from this contract, and then fucking newsflash, none of the Teamsters are losing their jobs. Well, not none of them, but there are layoffs. But that 12,000 they were talking about are mostly subcontractors and soups. Because Carol Tomei knows who makes the money, who made those record profits to begin with, especially like through COVID and stuff. And she knows who will make the money back, and that's the people on the ground doing the actual work, the Teamsters. So, yeah, that news broke. And it didn't really hit the media too hard, but, Wall Street's never happy if you're not constantly going up, up, up. And eventually that balloon's going to pop, and it did. I mean, we made over $100 billion in 2022. And if you look back to the years 2018, 2016, we were 60, 70, 66 in 2017, 8 years ago. So just put that into perspective, because if in 2017, before COVID and all that stuff, and the company took advantage of the market at that point, all the shipping companies did. Amazon blew up, right? And then they peaked, and then they came down. Well, they didn't have this big contract to blame it on either, right? The workers, big contract, and this is what they get. No, the companies don't. The excess money that companies have, they're not just going to give it back to the customer, right? Like, if you were to compare that, then go to FedEx, because FedEx isn't union and they don't make shit. I mean, the guys that own the routes do, and but the ground guys you see out there that are like working for they're working for a guy that works for the company, all like three times removed, right? They're not making anything. And they cost the same, right? If it's so cheap, if labor is so expensive at UPS and their shipping costs are so much money, then go to FedEx. But they don't, because it's not, because it's market value. They're going to get as much as they can out of the customer. And the Teamsters' job is to get the much to the employees that made the money out of the company. There's no correlation between the fact that we make the money that we do because we earn the money and we're deserving of the money, and the price of the product. Because if we started making $20 an hour or more, you think UPS would just start giving all these discounts to customers? I mean, it's just not. They're going to get the money they can. They're going to extract as much out of the market as they can, and we're going to extract as much out of the company as we can because we deserve it, because we're the ones that made it. And that's what a union does, right? So for them to say that, like, the contract had anything to do with it, I mean, it's an agenda that some people have, but pay that no mind. I know it's not really out there in the news that much, but I've seen it because I kind of look for it. So, I mean, we made $100 billion, right? Like, we went 66 in 2017, constantly grew. We've grown every year for the past, God, I don't even know. I think in 2008 when, we had that market crash, right? We didn't grow then in revenue growth, right? And then revenue correlates to, profit and stuff like that. But 2008, I think in 2009, I don't know, don't hold me to this, but I'm pretty sure we didn't have a 1 or 2 years that we grew. I mean, we were just a little bit below. But we've constantly grown since then. 8 years ago, we were making $66 billion. Now we're making 100. And now Wall Street and their shareholders are freaking out because we're not going to make $100 billion this year. We're only going to make 93 or whatever was forecasted. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I mean, it's just, it's crazy, but, 93 isn't good enough. It's not like we're losing money, right? Like, we're still making money. We just don't keep exceeding what we've made every year like we always have done. Because eventually that balloon's going to burst, and it's not like it tanked. It's just we weren't able to constantly exceed the revenue that we've made every year. So it'll be all right. The 12,000 employees are mostly subcontractors and soups, as far as I know, like just like, excess fat, dead weight. Um, she's not getting rid of Teamster jobs because, I mean, there's the normal layoffs because it's after peak as well, which in combination with everything else, um, there's always layoffs this time of year because it's like a spike in volume. And then, but that with like the years and years of COVID that we've had, um, has caused a dip, and the company's going to do layoffs. As far as guys that were like 22-4s that are now full-time drivers, it sucks that you have to go back. It sucks you have to go, to preload and stuff like that. But keep in mind that you were brought in really early through COVID. They were bringing guys in off the street and hiring them. And that full-time seniority date, when you got that starts your progression, right? And I'm going to try to explain that. But basically, when I was coming up in '02, right, it took me to after '04 to go driving at all. And I was just a part-time air driver. And then finally, I think 3 years in, I went, which is a pretty good timetable. 3 years isn't a bad wait. I got a cousin out in Pittsburgh that drives. And the wait time out in Pittsburgh, and I think in Philly, where there's not a lot of growth because it's so condensed, the wait times are like ridiculous. We're talking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years sometimes. So just to go full-time driving. So Westchester building, Chester County has had this explosion of growth. So the building that we're in is really good and has been really good for the whole time that I've worked there for the wait time to get to go driving. And then especially during COVID, you just came in off the street and, you just got hired and you started driving, right? But that's because of the unforeseen growth that we had. Now that growth is not there, right? It's normal, right? Don't tell the shareholders in Wall Street that, but this is normal, right? I mean, even still more than normal. This still far exceeds to make $93 billion in a year, which I just think what they forecasted is unbelievable. And to be pissed at that, that just tells you where their mindset is. They want more, always. But so where was I going with that? But so for the drivers that were able to just come in, start driving, you get your seniority, and that starts your full-time top rate progression, right? So you come in, you get your seniority within a few months of driving. That starts that 4-year mark, where you hit top rate. So right now, people that are like 2 years into the job and they're getting laid off, they're getting thrown back into part-time or twilight, for twilight preload. It sucks. I get it because you got used to a full-time job with, decent pay. You're not top rate, but decent pay and steady work. And now all of a sudden that's taken away from you. But just compare that to where I was when I started 20 years ago and where a lot of other people were, especially not in the Westchester building where they have waits up to 10 years, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. You got in real quick and your progression starts right towards top rate. At 2 years or 3 years, I wasn't even driving yet. So a lot of these guys from 2 or 3 years ago, 4 years ago that went in immediately started driving, you've made a lot of money for with this company in those years that I never had the opportunity to do. Not that it's a comparison, but just it sucks to have to get laid off and go back, but realize that on the opposite end of that, you were able to do so much with this company in the first few years that you started. And for you to go back and have to work part-time or something, that's what I always had to do. I never had the opportunity to go driving in my first 2-3 years. I was working twilight part-time for over 2 years before I went even part-time driving. And then it took me another year to go full-time, And then I had to get my seniority. So I was like 4 or 5 years in before I even started driving. You guys just right off the rip, right? So there's like good and bad to that. Like I get it. It sucks. I hate to see people get put back into the building because you're like, how am I going to pay my bills and stuff like that? But just remember that, when I started, I didn't have that opportunity. I was part-time for years before I went full-time driving. So, and when you went full-time driving right off the rip, right from the beginning, you started, your full-time progression starts then. So 4 years from when you got your seniority, you're going to get top rate. So by the time you're 4 years in, by the time I was 4 years in, I was just starting driving. By the time you're 4 years in, I know you're getting put back and forth, but you're going to be getting top rate, right? So it's not bad. I mean, you got to pay your dues, right? So that's what that, that's what it is. What it is. You got to pay. You got to wait like everybody else, and the job will come along eventually. And then You start your career from there. So hopefully that made sense. I'm just trying to give like a little. I'm trying to play devil's advocate a little bit because I hate to see guys have to go back part time and stuff like that when they're used to full time work. But you know, the job's still there, and it'll come. It's just a little bit of waiting, like everybody did, and then it comes. So also there's another issue. There's not a lot of guys that come to me about this, but management, like I've said in previous videos, management, they have this thing where they're not letting guys flex start because way back on Black Friday when I did agree, and this is what I think it's from, and I've said this before, I'm reiterating what I did in another video, but I keep having guys come up to me like today. It was my day off. It was Saturday. I decided to go in because I had some t-shirts for some guys that I wanted to get to them. Those Teamster t-shirts that I got, the ones that for the medium and large size guys that I promised t-shirts that they don't have at the Union Hall, I ordered these ones, right? They're the t-shirt version of this hoodie, and they're coming in probably next week, so I have them for you guys. I think there's like 6 or 7 guys. But so the start time thing, yeah. So, I did the grievance Black Friday. The division manager trickled down through the center manager and the other soups. They have this thing where they want to stick it to drivers when they're wrapped up and guys want to go because the guys are eager to go out there and work, and I get it. I mean, I don't like waiting around either. So like today was a 9:30 start time. I went in, and at 9 o'clock, quarter 9 maybe, they were all wrapped up, and there were other centers leaving, and our center, they're trying to make a point. The retaliation from me, just basically not just Black Friday, but enforcing the contract in general. They're going to retaliate where they can, and they want to get drivers mad. And I've said this before. It's an easy way for you to direct your anger towards like the union. The union doesn't care if you start early. If it start time is 9:30 like today, and they're wrapped up at 8:45 and work's available, you have every right for the company to release the drivers, and as long as they're getting paid to go out and work it. But they see us sitting around chomping at the bit, especially the newer guys that don't really know how things work around here, right, with the union and the company, and they're going to take advantage of that and say, no, the union's not letting you leave till 9:30. Well, that's not the case. You can work early. They have the center manager can release you at any time if you want to work. You're not late until start time. So if you don't want to work until like 9:30 start today, you don't have to. But if you're there, you shouldn't be there loading your trucks anyway. That's a whole other story. If start time's 9:30, just go in at 9:30. I don't know. Like, I get everybody wants to get back, but this isn't a regular 9-to-5 job, and you're going to find that out. This is not a job. I had a few guys call me because they were trying to, at the end of their days, they were instructed to go do a pickup real quick, and they're mad, and it's like, that's just the way it is. Like, once you get your 9-5 rights and they ask you to do that, then they have to worry about 9-5s. But for right now, it's not your work. You go out, you get paid by the hour for the deliveries that you do, no matter what they are. And if you start at 9:30 and you have 200 stops, which hopefully you don't, because it's a lot, and you get done at 6:30, or if you start at 9 and you get done at 6, you're still getting paid the same, right? I know you want to get in early, but they're doing that because they know that you're sitting there chomping, because you mean well. You're eager to get out there and get the day done for them, right? And yourself. And they know that, and they know by holding you till start time, saying that, quote unquote, the union won't let us start early is complete bullshit. They can't start you later. The whole thing was they start on Black Friday. They tried to start you 45 minutes later when we were making double time. They changed the start time 3 different times. And I said, no, you can't do that, up until including 48 hours before the start time. It was a whole shift change. And I said, you have to honor the start time that was posted from a week ago. And they didn't like that. And they knew they had to do that. And they go, okay. And everybody came in at 8:45 instead of 9:30, and they got paid. Well, the division manager didn't like that. And he's being petty, which, side note, the company isn't making the $100 billion this year, Mr. Division Manager. So it's probably not wise of you to try to be petty about stuff, especially guys leaving early and being productive and making the company money just over some little retaliation that you're trying to do with the union. I would just let them go if you're wrapped up like you're doing the other centers. especially when the company is laying off 12,000 supervisors, because personally that's not a good look. You're just you're being spiteful. I know that's what it is. And personally, I don't care. If start time's 9:30, I walk. Well, I get in early because I'm a shop steward, but if start time's 9:30, I start at 9:30. And if I have 9 hours of work, I finish at 6:30. If start time's 9, I finish it at 6. And for me, if they keep pushing the start time up and they don't let us leave early, then I'm out in the dark delivering, and it costs them more, And so it's less beneficial for them to start us later, because I'll be out in the dark, and when I'm out in the dark delivering, it takes me longer, and they don't make as much money on the deliveries. So it doesn't make much sense. But still, they want to do this whole, you can't flex start thing. And the union has nothing to do with that. You can start earlier. If you see a guy leaving early as well, it's in the contract. If work's available, it goes to the highest seniority member. So if you're one of them guys that's sitting around and chomping at the bit to get out, and you're coming to me, well, they're saying the union won't, blah, 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 bullshit, and you see a guy with less seniority and you leave, and you're wrapped up all the same as they are, you can work. You can start as well. Work's available to the highest seniority member early. Okay? Now, there are guys that I've told that to, and they're like, well, I don't want to do that. It's like, you can't win, right? Because they don't want to ruffle management's feathers, because they know that management's doing this to try to get everybody all riled up and pissed off at the union. And it's really not working. It's just like a handful of guys, because most guys are like, they see through that bullshit, and they're like, all right, whatever. Start time's 9:30. Okay, then it's 9:30. And if we're wrapped up and we're just sitting here, just don't come in till start time, honestly. And don't be loading your truck before start time anyway. Don't be up there on the belt. That's a whole nother story. But, I'm tired of, I'm a little bit tired of management trying to do their petty little bullshit and blame the union, because the union has nothing to do with it. They decide the start time. And if work's available early, the union has no problem with you guys starting early. And when they say, oh, well, the union this, and that, and you buy into that bullshit, well, get smart. Because it's not the case, all right? I don't mind. I'll go in there and ask her. I don't, guys want me to go in there and talk to her. I'll go in there and talk to her. But she's just being spiteful about it. So I'll go in there and I'll say, hey, listen, guys want to leave early. Everything's wrapped up. Can we go? And she's going to say, well, and then I'm going to say, no, that's not the case. It's a pissing contest, but I'm not going to not enforce the contract because they're capable of doing petty shit like this. At the end of the day, you still get paid. You're not working off the clock anyway, right? Like, they're not telling you to start at 9 and you don't get paid till 9:30. You get paid at 9:30. That's talking about today, and you work the fair days work, fair days pay. You take your lunch and you get done when you get done. And so it's not like money's coming out of your pocket. They just this isn't a 9 to 5 job. So I know guys want to get in, and they want to have a routine. Guys want to go home and see their wives. Have a little beer or whatever they're going to do. I get that, man. I feel for that. I've wanted that for 23 years. This isn't the job for that, because they will exploit that. When you kill yourself to get in, and cut corners and do whatever, skip your lunch, that's not. First of all, that's not how the union works. That's not what we do. And second of all, you're just going to beat you up anyway and just give you more shit. So just do the fair day's work and you get in when you get in. It's not a 9 to 5 job, So I told somebody I'd make a little, I'd talk about that a little bit on a video tonight, because I don't know what else to say. Guys are calling me and they're like, well, not everybody, but there's guys that are calling me. I give them the answers they want. When I'm saying, okay, well, because some guys leave anyway, and I'm like, does he have less seniority than you? Yes. Well, then you're capable of leaving as well. You're capable of starting before that guy. So if that guy's leaving, then you have every right to be on the clock. We can file a grievance on that because the work gets handed down in seniority order. Well, I don't want to do that. Okay, well, you don't want to stand up for your rights, but you want me to do like something that I can't change it. If they're going to say that start time's 9:30 and nobody can leave, even though guys are leaving, I can't change their minds for them. And I'm not going to bend the contract and bend at the knees for them, because they're going to do stupid retaliatory shit. Just like when you file for an 8-hour day, right? And they come up and drivers around you get more work. And management will literally say, well, this guy's, he filed for an 8-hour day. You know, they'll say, hey, you filed for an 8-hour day. Fucking asshole, right? And then this drivers get mad at them just for enforcing or using the contract to its fullest and the rights that you have for the contract, the 9/5s. Well, we had to, this guy's got to go help this guy because he's going to be a 9/5. If everybody was on the same playing field in the union, where we all had our 9/5 rights and we all had 8-hour requests, nobody's special, nobody gets special treatment, right? Then they would have to treat everybody the same. And when they send that guy and they give that guy more work because this guy has his 8-hour request, then they have to worry about his 9/5 grievance. You know what I mean? And then when they have to send that guy to go help this guy because he's going to be his third 9/5 and they don't want that grievance, well, that guy's got a 9/5 grievance. So it's just, we all got to use the contract and be on the same playing field for this to work. All right. And stuff like the little retaliatory shit, the petty shit that they're doing, which I don't know, they should be more worried about getting back to that 100 billion mark to make their stupid fucking shareholders happy instead of doing petty shit like this. Because quite honestly, when they let guys leave early, they're more productive because they get more daylight, and when you deliver in daylight, you get more done. So I don't know why they're holding guys back. Well, I know why, but it's just petty bullshit, and just don't buy into it, because they're going to do that your whole career here, especially if you're new. This is nothing to me. I mean, this is like when they tell me, I work as instructed, because when I work as instructed, I make more money. When they tell me to go run a misload off an hour away or something, which they don't do because I'm on the 9/5 list. So they know it's 6 o'clock when I'm done my route and they want me to go do shit, they're going to be paying a grievance because I have my 9/5 protection. And I will make them pay. I'm not going to go cutting corners and doing shit, cheating to get done. So that's where that's at. Sorry, I ranted there a little bit. Listen, I got the t-shirts coming in. For the guys that didn't, if you're still here, this is another long video. But the t-shirts are coming in for the rest of the guys that I had about 7 or 8 guys that I had to order for because the union didn't have the sizes. So I'm doing that. We're getting these bad boys, bam, in the t-shirt sizes. For the guys that do watch these videos and hear me rant a little bit and try to explain my side, I appreciate you. And even if not, we don't need to think, we don't need to have the same frame of mind all the time. We don't need to think the same way all the time, but we're all still we're all union members in the same group, moving in the same direction, and we should all be using the contract and not letting management retaliate, and especially stupid bullshit like this. Oh, you can't start early. I mean, it's really only half an hour anyway, right? So instead of getting it at 6, you're getting it at 6:30. And quite honestly, if they're going to stick with that, then just come in at 9:30. I wish everybody just showed up at start time. Just walked in the building right at start time, and there was a line into the office like there are in a lot of buildings. We're just the only building in this area, really. I think Willow Grove's the same way, but but it's a lot different. There's a lot more standards held in other buildings where this isn't even a problem. Some guys would probably watch this video and be like, "What are you talking about? Working off the clock? Like it's not a thing in like Philly and shit like that." But just for some reason, Westchester, and that's why I have my frame of mind. I have the mentality that we file a contract. We don't do work off the clock. We don't let soups work, blah, blah, blah. We enforce a standard into the company as a union member. And that's common practice in a lot of other buildings, but for some reason it's not in Westchester. And I got to explain myself. And so that's why I'm doing this little video, just to try to explain it a little bit. And some guys will agree with it. Some guys won't. But it's not that big a deal, right? At the end of the day, especially this little start time thing that she's doing, whatever. It just hurts her at the end of the day, and him, the division manager, because it hurts their numbers. Guys are sitting around. Unless you go out there, because you're so eager to get out and eager to get done that you're cutting corners to get in, and you're cheating and stuff like that, then it doesn't hurt them, and then they get away with it. So don't let that happen. All right, guys. Peace out. Thanks for listening to me. I'll see you on the next one. Later.